What's going on YouTube, and welcome to Courtside Today with your host Sepunama Sarchan. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the Eastern Conference teams and their needs at the deadline. I'm going to be dividing the teams into tiers and then what I think they should do in these next few weeks. Before we jump into the video, please leave a like and subscribe as it helps the channel out a lot. Thank you very much. So starting off with the contenders, and in this tier I have put the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. And we're going to start off with the Boston Celtics because they're at the #1 seed right now in the conference, and it's the easiest way to start off with them. So what I think the Boston Celtics should do is get a bit more depth and maybe some more guard creation. What I think they've always lacked in the past few years, I think kind of the same problem the Clippers have had, is a guard that can really run a pick and roll and just set the table for the other guys and also score a bit. But right now, what they have is Drew Holiday and Derrick White in the backcourt, which is a really good backcourt, especially defensively. And they can score, especially Derrick White. He has been playing amazing basketball this summer, but he's not really the guard that's going to be on ball and running pick and rolls for the entire team and just getting everyone into position. He will be playing more off of Jaylen Brown and off of Jason Tatum, while I think they should have a guard off the bench that can also handle the ball and get just everyone involved. What I also think they should have is a bit more depth, because right now I think they're only 6 deep that really fit the playoffs. Alongside their starting lineup, they only also have Al Horford, who I would say is a really good playoff player. Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, haven't really seen it yet. I still need to see more from them to really say that they are playoff players. And then they have some guys who I think can really play a good filling role in the regular season, but who don't really fit the style of the playoffs or won't really fit the level of the playoffs. And that's like O'Shea Brissett, Jordan Walsh, Luke Cornett, who I think just right now aren't ready yet for that type of level of basketball, and I think they should just get at least 2 more guys to have an 8 deep rotation. I would go for 1 wing to maybe alleviate some of the pressure off of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and then also 1 guard who can kind of create in pick and roll. Moving on, we have the Bucks, who of course are struggling immensely defensively, and they just need some point of attack defense. Some defenders at the 2, some defenders at the 3. Right now they are starting Malik Beasley at the 2 with their starting lineup of Dame, Chris Middleton, and Giannis and Brook Lopez. But I think they should have a more on-ball defender. Beasley has been playing well, but I think they just need a 2 guard that can really defend. Malik Beasley should come off the bench in my opinion, because his scoring will be really huge as the backup point guard, even because I don't think they really need a backup point guard in the lineups where Giannis and Chris Middleton should play when Dame is on the bench. So I think they can run Beasley there at the point guard, and then they just need some point of attack defense to help Damian Lillard, to help Chris Middleton, because those guys, we know that they have never really been lockdown defenders, and they will never be lockdown defenders, especially not at their age right now. Next up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are in an interesting position because they have a lot of contracts that they can trade, and they are all expiring. And they also have some picks that they got back from the James Harden trade. Now, those picks might not be super valuable, but they're still picks and expiring contracts. So it's pretty simple what they can trade: expiring contracts and picks. And I think they should go for some front court help. Maybe get a guy like Jerami Grant, maybe get Bojan Bogdanovic. Whoever it is that they can get in the front court that could really help them score the ball, probably also defend the ball a bit, because right now it's just a logjam of pretty meh players in like Marcus Morris and Robert Covington and Nicholas Batum and Kelly Oubre Jr., who are all pretty okay, but I think they just need that one piece in the front court who can really score the ball. And I think Jerami Grant is the perfect fit, and I've also discussed that already in the video about Jerami Grant. Then next up, we have the teams who I think will be fighting for a spot in the playoffs, so to stay out of the play-ins but in the playoffs, and those are the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Orlando Magic, and the Indiana Pacers. Let's start off with the New York Knicks. They recently did a trade for OG Anunoby, but I think right now they gave up Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. They should look for some guard depth. And once again, a team that's trying to go for Malcolm Brogdon, that offer with Quentin Grimes and a pick is looking more likely every day that it might happen, and Brogdon just fits what they need right now. They need some more shooting, they need some more playmaking off the bench to alleviate some of that pressure off of Jalen Brunson, and Brogdon would fit that mold perfectly. He can come off the bench, he won't make a problem about that. He can start as well next to Jalen Brunson if needed to be. So I think that's once again a guy that should really fit this team. Next up, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have been playing some really good basketball over the past few weeks. After a kind of a rough start to the season, they have started to really come alive despite injuries to Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. I think they have been playing some really good basketball with Donovan Mitchell as a point guard and Jarrett Allen having some more of a scoring role than he's used to. What I think they need right now is some perimeter defense, and even though they have a perimeter defender that is really good in Isaac Okoro, kind of a really underrated defender, he has some offensive struggles, and they also need just more perimeter defense, especially with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt. They are going to need some more perimeter defense. I think the wisest move right now is to move on from Caris LeVert, and just try to get some perimeter defense, especially at the guard position. And that's what I would do. Same thing goes for the Pacers. I just did a video about them. They just acquired Pascal Siakam, and they also just need some perimeter defense. And you can check out my video about Pascal Siakam if you want to down below, and that trade to the Indiana Pacers. And then finally, we have the Orlando Magic, who I think have been playing some really surprisingly good basketball. In the front court, they are really, really good. With Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero, even Mo Wagner, who is a really underrated backup center in this league, has been for quite a while right now. He's been great filling in for Wendell Carter Jr., who has been injured, and then Goga Bitadze as well. So in the front court, they are kind of good, and they also have Jonathan Isaac, of course. How could I forget about him? But him battling with injuries sometimes, so you never know with him. It used to be a trend in Orlando that they put a lot of focus on the front court and not enough on the back court, but now in the past few years, they have drafted Jalen Suggs, they have tried Anthony Black. What we used to see is that Orlando Magic put a lot of focus on the front court and didn't get a lot of guards, but now in the recent years with Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black, that has changed, so they have gotten a few guards who defensively have some really good potential and can also kind of score the ball, especially Jalen Suggs, but I think they need a real scoring guard, a real shooting point guard, maybe a shooting guard if they want to play Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black as the point guards of the team, but I would go for a point guard. So once again, Malcolm Brogdon is a guy that could fit them really well. Maybe they go for DeJounte Murray. Who knows if they are interested in him or they even want to go for him. Next up, we have the teams in NBA Purgatory, and those are the teams who, they are not tanking yet, or at least it doesn't look like they are tanking. They are kind of still trying to win, but they won't be good enough anyway to really make some noise in the playoffs if they even get there, because those teams are the ones battling for the play-in, and those teams are the Chicago Bulls, the Atlanta Hawks, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Toronto Raptors. I think these teams are all in kind of the same position in different ways. They just have some good players, but they just don't have enough. And what I think they should do is just start to sell. For the Atlanta Hawks, they can maybe still go for a quick rebuild where they sell off DeJounte Murray, tank this year, and just go with Trae Young and go with Jalen Johnson, maybe Nickeil Congo and DeAndre Hunter, and maybe see what they can build with that and the pick that they might get this year. For the Chicago Bulls, they should just go for an entire rebuild. Right now, they just don't have what it takes. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic. On paper, that trio never looked that scary. And even though they were good with Lonzo Ball before he got injured, it has never really fluctuated. Lonzo Ball's injury may have prevented us from seeing what this team's full potential was, but that's the way the NBA goes, and I think right now they should just do a full rebuild, sell off Zach LaVine, sell off DeMar DeRozan if they even can get something for him, Vucevic as well, Alex Caruso, whatever they can get, whatever they can sell, they should just go for a complete rebuild, because they don't need any of these pieces right now, because the competing parts that they are doing, because they are competing well in some of these games, especially on the defensive end, they should just start to fully rebuild and just build around Kobe White, who's been having a great season, and maybe give Patrick Williams some more freedom to explore his game and really develop. And then once again, a rebuild for the Chicago Bulls. For the Toronto Raptors, I've already talked about them in the Pascal Siakam video. You can also check that down below, of course. But the same thing goes for them. They should just go for a full rebuild, but I don't know what they can still do, because now with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, the two pieces that they got from the OG Anunoby trade, those guys either are making a lot of money like RJ, or are going to command a lot of money in the summer like Emmanuel Quickley. And with Scotty Barnes, who's going to ask for a lot of money as well, that's already a lot of money for a team that's purely rebuilding. And then finally, for the Brooklyn Nets, I think they got a gift last year when that trade for Kevin Durant happened. They got Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and some picks. But what they didn't do was just sell on Mikal Bridges. And Mikal Bridges had a lot of suitors at the trade deadline last year when they got Kevin Durant. Memphis Grizzlies were interested, the Portland Trailblazers were interested. I heard both those teams were also interested in the summer. I've read those reports. So I think they should have just gone for a full rebuild and just taken all the picks they could get. But they didn't, and right now they just have a role player super team. And I don't know what they are really trying to do. They don't really have a good vision. So yeah, I just think they should just rebuild everything and sell out the guys like McAlbridge, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Nicholas Claxton, and just go for a full rebuild right now. So that was it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe down below. It helps the channel out a lot. And also comment down below, do you agree with what I said about your team? What do you agree with? Don't you agree with? Maybe there are some other pieces that your favorite team should add. Maybe the pieces that I mentioned don't fit your team at all in your opinion. Just leave it down below. It's always a basketball discussion that I love having. You can also come have that discussion with me on Twitter anytime at the Courtside News without the E for the caps limit, of course. So yeah, that was it, and I will see you next time. Bye.